Hello again, everybody. Jim Hickey, also known as Bass Fishing Tips on Twitter, back to you with another quick tips video. Having to do again with soft stick baits. A little bit of a twist on something that I actually could have added into my last video, talking about the difference between the original Senko and other soft stick baits. In the case I gave him point was the Mr. Twister Kamita, and why I feel they're actually two tools of very similar nature that actually fit different bills and are both useful. That's not a case of one over the other. In this case, I'm going to go Mr. Twister versus Mr. Twister. And yeah, we got the Kamita. We've already kind of talked about that. You know, traditional soft stick bait, thick on one end, tapers down more thinly on the other, on the backside. As I mentioned, I believe that the original Senko was modeled after or they used the barrel of a cross pen in order to create the mold. Um, Very effective bait. Okay. Usually rig it Texas style or wacky, depending on how we're fishing the cover. Um, when you fish it Texas style, not just throwing it out and working it through cover on short twitches and things like that, and then reeling it in and throwing it out again back to the cover. You know, one way I'll fish any soft stick bait, is as a soft jerk bait. You know, sometimes using that type of action can be very effective and saves you from switching this out for the other one when you're actually doing that. There are days when if the fish are chasing, if you get follows, sometimes using that approach can be very, very good. The fish will react very well to it, bite it, and it can be very effective. The word I was looking for. But there's one other bait in the Mr. Twister line I'll also use as a soft stick bait, even though it wasn't necessarily originally intended to do that, and that's the Mr. Twister Pocket Fry. Slightly shorter. As a fry bait is actually, configured the same way on both ends of the bait, shaped the same, pretty consistent diameter throughout. It's a little bit shorter. It's 4.5 inches opposed to 5 inches, which is the normal size of the stick bait that I throw, Kamita, Senko, whatever. And lighter than the Kamita. I mentioned in the last video that I did comparing the Senko and the Kamita that the Senko was 11 grams, the Kamita was 9 grams. This is a little bit shorter. This is only 7, and I think a little bit less dense plastic as well. But the time I will opt for a pocket fry, or at least fish it versus the other two, is when I'm in really shallow water, 2 feet or less. Okay, and this has an even slower rate of fall, and then that depth of water that can be highly effective sometimes. The other thing that's really, and I'll rig it both ways, again, as Texas style or as a wacky rig. The other thing that's really cool, when you rig this thing Texas style and you use it as a soft jerk bait, this thing has a wild action, something that in my mind is a lot closer to what a soft jerk bait does than the Kamita style, the traditional soft stick baits, if you will. And it's wild. I mean, it's absolutely. So when you get highly, aggressive fish, or sometimes they want that different action, I'll opt for the Mr. Twister Pocket Fry in 2 conditions. Really shallow water, less than 2 feet, and a lot of cover around. And as a soft jerkbait imitator. And I'll fish it out even deeper in those cases, 3, 4 feet, 5 feet in some instances. Anyway, something to keep in mind, why the pocket fry might also, or you should consider it as your go-to soft stick bait under certain conditions. Have a good day. Be talking to you again real soon. Enjoy the weather wherever you are. Hopefully spring will be here quicker rather than later. Have a great one.